Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing and blessed day. I hope you had a great 4th of July. If you celebrate that in this country, we celebrate it in America. If not, well, I hope you had a great Monday, whatever was going on in your life. So here we are, Tuesday. I took a break because I was on vacation last week, and I really thought I could get these out, but not happening. So here we are. We're gonna keep on with Galatians. We are now in chapter 2, and today we got a lot of verses. We got 10 verses to cover in chapter 2. So it might go a little long. I apologize, but I think they're really awesome passages. So we got to keep going. So here we are, chapter 2, verse 1. Here's Paul. 14 years after that first visit, Barnabas and I went up to Jerusalem and took Titus with us. I went to clarify with them what had been revealed to me. So it's been 15 years since Paul's been, 14 years since Paul's been to Jerusalem, and he has been revealed the message of the gospel from Jesus, and he is just wanting to go and confirm that he is on track and that the message is good from the pillars of the church. At that time, I placed before them exactly what I was preaching to the non-Jews. I did this in private with the leaders, those held in esteem by the church, so that our concerns would not become a controversial public issue. I mean, that is wisdom right there. Married by ethnic tensions, exposing my years of work to denigration and endangering my present ministry. Significantly, Titus, non-Jewish though he was not required to be circumcised. So Paul didn't go and show up at the meeting hall and just start blasting his message, and that's pretty key. If you have an issue with somebody, do not just talk smack about them. Go to them and say, this is what I believe. And if they do not agree, well, that is what it is. You don't have to attack them publicly. And I think that's a big key, because as Christians, we attack each other so much, and all we look like is idiots arguing about nothing. So here we are. While we were in conference, we were infiltrated by spies pretending to be Christians, who slipped in to find out just how free true Christians are. How about that? Their ulterior motive was to reduce us to their brand of servitude. We did not give them the time of day. We were determined to preserve the truth of the message for you. That's huge. Here these people are, and they're going to get into the argument, and they're going to try to bring them back to the law, try to bring them back to Jewish culture, and that you have to do Jewish culture to be saved. And Paul will get into that as we go. As for those who were considered important in the church, their reputation doesn't concern me. God isn't impressed with mere appearance, and neither am I. And of course, these leaders were able to add nothing to the message I had been preaching. So Paul was confirmed that the message he was preaching was good and clean and proper. It was soon evident that God had entrusted me with the same message that to the non-Jews as Peter had been preached to the Jews. Recognizing that my calling had been given by God, James, Peter, and John, the pillars of the church, shook hands with me and Barnabas, assigning us to the ministry to the non-Jews, while they continued to be responsible for the reaching out to the Jews. Now, I'm going to go a little long on this, because somebody on TikTok put on this whole they messaged me this big old long thing about how Peter is the rock of the church and that Peter is the leader. And I'm not going to argue all that, but here's what I am saying. What this just said is that Peter was called to the Jews. So if you are a Jew, then Peter is the leader. But if you are a non-Jew, then Paul would be your leader. So Nor do I think we should worship either of them, because Paul just said that he doesn't care about the men. He doesn't care about what those guys are. It's not about that. It's about Jesus. Jesus is our pastor. Peter is not. Paul is not. It is Jesus who is our pastor and is our leader and is the head of the church. It is not Peter or Paul or John, but also I just want to point out here that the pillars of the Jewish church were James, Peter, and John. It wasn't just Peter. So we don't bow down and worship Peter. We bow down and worship Jesus because he gave his life for us. And it's our faith in him that gets us saved. It's not some guy, and it's not some order of laws that gets us saved. So to finish this off, church. So he shook hands with me and Barnabas and assigned us to the, or did I read this? Well, they continued to respond to reaching out to the Jews. The only additional thing they asked was that we remember the poor. And I was already eager to do that. So the only thing that Peter is adding is, hey, don't forget the poor, which Paul did tons for the poor in Jerusalem. So the whole point is that people are not who we worship, but the message is faith in Jesus Christ which is important. And we'll get into that tomorrow. There is so much more in this chapter that we will break down. Have an amazing